Sam Spinella, your trusted real estate guy. I wanted to talk today about why homes appear to be sitting longer. And it's not necessarily all across the US, it is also here in the Bay Area. I think that what's happening, and when you look to see what the inventory looks like as far as inventory, how long the houses are sitting, how much inventory means how many houses are sitting on the market. When you look at that, it's really kind of comes down to a couple of different things. And one of the main things over the course of the last few years, we've been going through a housing recession. And inside that housing recession, our interest rates or the interest rates have been high. And the interest rates have been high to cool the spending, which is certainly working, and to cool the spending, making sure that inflation starts to come down. So inflation hasn't come down and interest rates are still high. Interest rates are doing better, and they've actually gone to their low of the last few years, over the last few days, lowest in the last 11 months. And so then the question becomes, with interest rates coming down lower, why are houses sitting? There's a couple of different reasons for that. Interest rates is going to be one of them. And we also have an affordability crunch. So not as many people can afford a home as they could. One of the reasons for that is it does go back to the interest rates. Interest rates are kind of the end all be all right now with the affordability crunch. When interest rates come down, it does make it more affordable for a buyer to purchase a home. And it does make sense that buyers are a little more cautious right now because we've had a lot of ebbs and flows with the economy. The economy has kind of gone up and pulled back, gone up and pulled back. It's difficult to know if you're a buyer, who should I listen to? Especially when you see the interest rates come down and then possibly go up, especially when it seems that the interest rates should be going down, but then they come back up again. One of the reasons for that is because of the 10-year treasuries. 10-year treasuries is going to be one thing to watch, and mortgage-backed securities is the other thing. And so when you're looking at the mortgage-backed securities 10-year treasury notes, based on those notes and the bonds, people are purchasing those for a future value, and it's going to be future value that they're purchasing from the US government. So when something happens, the jobs numbers come in and they come in worse than expected, it's actually good for interest rates. So it's not great for the overall economy, but right now we kind of don't want strength in the overall economy if we want better interest rates. That's what the feds are actually basing it on. So I'm really going on a tirade here about interest rates, and the main reason is because interest rates are causing so much of a stranglehold on the ability to purchase a home. Now, one of the things that happens as well is when a seller goes on the market, it's very tempting to overprice a home. You want to make sure that when you put the house on the market, and of course you don't have to be talking to me about it, there's other trusted agents out there as well. When you're working with your realtor, listen to your realtor, make sure that there's a game plan in place. Make sure that there is a strategy. You want to make sure that the agent that you work with is talking to you about the strategy that you're going to use in order to sell the home. Now, it's always up to the seller ultimately, and it should be up to the seller as to where you want to price the home. If you're selling the home, it's your home. As agents, we are your fiduciary. We're there to make sure that you are making the right decisions and giving you guidance. You're the one who's going to make the ultimate decision. But when it comes to that, you want to make sure that you don't overprice the home. It's very tempting to overprice a home. Why don't we ask more for it so we make sure we get the most money that we possibly can? What happens is now, especially nowadays, everybody's on filters. If you've ever purchased a home and when you're looking in Zillow, for example, and let's say that you want to come up with the idea, what is your house worth? You're looking at that specifically for your house and, okay, what is my house worth? You're looking at filters from that lens as well, right? So on Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, whatever it is you're using, you're setting up filters. I don't want to go higher than this. A lot of times if you're selling, I don't want to go lower than this, but it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, for example. You're going to put in 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you're going to kind of form that mold. Now, as a buyer, you're going to do the same thing. Typically speaking, over the course of time, buyers, especially in Silicon Valley, have been programmed, so to speak, to expect to pay more than what you're actually looking at. In other words, if you look at a home for 1.7, it'll more than likely sell for 1.9. And there's a certain strategy there, of course. And it's not just to make it look good on a postcard or on the email blast. The purpose for that is because those filters are there. So we've kind of gone both directions with it. The filters have created what we actually do. And so that's why, as a seller, you want to take that same thought process, turn it around, and ask that 1.7 if you're expecting 1.9. With that said, again, go back to the strategy. There's always going to be a strategy. It's not always appropriate to make it 1.7 if you want 1.9. Depending on how the market is and how the market is moving, sometimes we will actually make the decision when we're listing the house the week before or a few days before if it's a volatile market. So it's not a one size fits all, but make sure you're listening to your expert advisor, the person that you hired to help you sell the home. Now, I'm always happy to help, and please reach out anytime. But one thing to keep in mind as a seller is that the first 2 weeks are absolutely critical, because if you put the house on the market and it doesn't sell within the first 2 weeks, you have already had a bunch of people come through an open house, for example. A bunch of filters have hit on Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com. So a lot of people have seen it, and it's fun. You put the house on the market, it's exciting, and nobody makes an offer on Tuesday or Wednesday the week after you put it on the market. Okay, so now what do we do? Now it's a matter of re-strategy. After that first 2 weeks, it's going to go stale. So then, let's say that you priced it high. If you had priced it high, now you're in a position where you need to pull back. So then the question becomes, how far do I pull back? Do I pull back $10,000? No, it makes sense to make a big, drastic price cut. Because again, you're doing the same thing. You're trying to bring attention to it. And just by creating that filter, it's not going to really bring that attention. Again, reach out to your trusted advisor on that. If you're working with a realtor on that, as you're going through this process, speak with them about that. There are different things and different ways to make this work, and there's not a one size fits all for it. Now, of course, the presentation matters. Presentation matters in a huge way. The home should certainly be staged. The home should certainly be prepped as much as it can. That's going to be the decision that the seller makes, but you definitely want to make sure that the home is prepped and ready for the market. And open houses back in the COVID days, the open house was kind of debunked. Was the open house theory debunked? I guess is a question that's certainly valid. The reason being is that during COVID, we were not allowed to actually have open houses. And there was plenty of houses and plenty of demand for houses that were sold during that time. And again, really low interest rates, but there was plenty of houses that were sold within that time. So the open house, it's not necessarily a way to capture all of the buyers, because we have open houses all the time online. Somebody can look at the house 24/7 online, especially when you use a 3D walkthrough and a 3D tour. So using the 3D walkthrough and 3D tour is certainly a part of the marketing that is necessary for buyers to look at the house anytime they want to. Now, an open house, it does make sense, and it's part of a strategy to work on. However, it's not going to sell the house 100% of the time, especially if you have it too high. Buyers just won't even show up to begin with, and you want them to come, you want them to show up and take a look at the house. Homes that show well and are priced correctly, those are the ones that are going to sell the quickest. And it's okay to sell a house quick because you're building momentum behind it. And when you have momentum behind it, just like anything else, that's the great time to capture it. And you also want to make sure that you leverage things as best you can. And then once you actually go into the contract, once you start looking at the offers, that's going to be the next piece as well. You want to make sure that the offers that come in, you're working with them, and you have a filter that comes in for these offers, and the agent you're working with has a strategy for each offer that is seen that comes in. You want to make sure you have a strategy for each offer in order to make sure that each offer has the opportunity to get up to the highest price possible. Now, that could be a lot of different ways, but I think that's probably going to be the next video. And I think that really what it comes down to is the bottom line here is the homes are sitting on the market for longer because the market has shifted. Rates and affordability, and buyers are more hesitant. Even though I'm working with buyers right now, this is a great time for buyers to jump into the market. Interest rates are going to come down. Interest rates have got to come down. All of the tea leaves, so to speak, are there for the interest rates to come down. So the first buyers who start to respond to this and to start to jump in line to purchase a home, they're going to be the ones who are sitting on top of it before there's lines of people again waiting to get in. I'm always here and happy to help. Hope you're doing well. Sam Spinella, your trusted real estate guide, 408-393-9294. Talk to you.